Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about shooting with insulated gloves. It is about 10 degrees Fahrenheit right now, and this evening it's probably going to go down to about -5. So basically you have to get proficient with shooting it with insulated gloves if you live in a cold weather environment. Okay. The nice thing about AR-15s and AK-47s is that you can have a thick insulated glove like that, and as you can see, it will fit into the trigger guard. Okay, the nice thing about a mil spec trigger that weighs about 7 or 8 pounds, or has a 7 or 8 pound pull, is that through these thick insulated gloves, I can feel it. I can feel that break point. I'm not going to accidentally set it off. Even with the glove, it requires a little bit of pressure in order to set it off. Okay. Now these insulated gloves are basically they're work gloves. They're leather, and leather is important because I can do other work. I may have to work with a shovel or pick up firewood or do other things outdoors. So I want to use gloves that are tough enough to perform other tasks as well as keeping my fingers warm. Now, the best way to keep your fingers warm, aside from wearing gloves, is that you need to basically have a thick insulated jacket, and you have to keep your head covered because you lose 80% of your body heat through your head. Okay, because what happens is your body gives priority to your chest and your head, and the way it does that is it cuts off the blood flow to your toes and your fingers. Okay, because it sees them as less important. So one of the ways to keep that blood flow going to your fingers and your toes is to keep your chest and your head covered. Now beyond that, you want to have first of all, you want to be wearing thermals underneath your pants. Okay, you want to have insulated boots because basically you're going to be spending a lot of time standing on snow. And if you're wearing anything like standard work boots, that cold is going to transfer up through your boots. So you need boots that are insulated, okay? And then you need gloves that are insulated. Now, they do sell like really thin gloves. The problem with thin gloves is that they're expensive and they don't work really well. So you might see gloves that advertised as as being suitable for sub-freezing temperatures, and they're like thin, and you're probably going to pay a lot of money for that. But ultimately, in order for a glove to work well, or insulation to work well, what you need is space between your skin and the outside environment. Okay, so basically, the thicker the glove is, the better, the more insulation you're going to have from the outside environment. So that's why thin usually doesn't work really well. There has to be some thickness there. AKs and ARs work pretty good with these insulated gloves. I have yet to find a handgun that will work with thick insulated gloves. Usually you need to have those really thin gloves, and those thin gloves just, in this kind of environment where it's like, 10 degrees Fahrenheit, and sometimes it goes down to -10, that's just not going to work very well. And it's also important to get used to doing all sorts of tasks with these gloves on, because what's going to happen is if you get your bare hands wet or in the snow, what's going to happen is they're gonna chill, and then it's really hard to warm them up. Basically, you need to get to a heat source in order to warm up your hands once they get numb. So it's really hard to get them warm from that point. So the best thing you can do is not let them get that cold. Now, one of the things I can do with these type of gloves is right now I have my fingers inside the the finger grooves. I can actually pull my hand back, and I can make a fist inside the glove. So if I was traveling around, basically I'd have that rifle, let's say in a sling, hanging off my body, and I could pull my fingers back, and I can basically have enough room inside the glove where I can actually use these as mittens by making a fist inside, and then basically I can extend my fingers when I need to. Okay, so that's a little survival tip for you guys. Okay, now you need to get used to manipulating your rifle with gloves on. Okay, and basically figuring out how to charge it. Sometimes basically I'll charge it like this. Basically a lot of times you may get snow and other stuff on the rifle. You may need to pinch it back and see, because a lot of times when you go to chamber around, your finger may slip, and you may not, you may not be sure if you actually picked up the round and put it in. So you're gonna need to do a little press check, and then you want to definitely slam that forward assist to make sure that the gun's in battery. So you want to get practice, with your gloves on. Practice getting your magazine in there. Taking your magazine out. So doing all these drills that are easy in the summertime, going to require a little bit more work in the wintertime. Get used to, like locking the bolt open. Okay, put the magazine in there. Give it that tug. Close, hit the bolt release. Turn your red dot on. Fire a couple of shots. Practice manipulating your safety. Okay. Usually with the thick insulated gloves, I got to turn the gun a little bit to the side in order to get to the safety. If I'm laying prone in the snow, it might be harder. I may actually have to come back with the other hand and flip the safety on and off as I need to. So do your up drills. Basically come up, safety off. Safety in. Okay. Practice some headshots. Okay. Practice, taking your magazine out, clearing your. There we go. Clearing your chamber. Checking your chamber. Safe direction. Safety off. Dry fire. Okay. Practice. If you got a light on your gun, which you should have, make sure that you can activate it on and off with your gloves. Sometimes with these thick gloves, because remember, what's that with the thick gloves? Remember, I'm also wearing a lot of insulation up here. I have a hood. Basically, I have a hood inside of a hood. Sometimes you may not get that cheek weld, that same cheek weld. So what I'll do is a lot of times I'll flip up my front sight over here, and what that does is when I come up, that front sight might help me find that red dot a little bit faster. And so I use that front sight, as a point of reference. So that might be a little tip that might work for you guys. Something you got to try it out. So sometimes I will use that. So there are some ideas for you guys to think about. Think about outdoor shooting, because if you live in the northern part of the United States, we have some pretty brutal winters. And if you're, if you're a survivalist, if you're training for for survival type of situation, well, 5 months out of the year are extremely cold. So this has to be part of your plan. You have to, if you train to fight in the summertime, well, you also need to be able to fight in the wintertime. Okay, so you gotta look at your environment and basically figure out, starting with your clothes, what type of clothes do you need to wear in order to survive in that type of environment, and then make sure that your equipment will work with those clothes. For example, the tactical vest that you wear in the summertime, or the war belt that you wear in the summertime, may not fit over an insulated jacket. So you have to figure out what you gotta do. Usually with this jacket, I'll have my magazines on my belt, and what I gotta do is I actually gotta reach up inside, put my jacket up in order to get to my magazines. You may decide that you want to have a backpack. That might be an option for you. So these are all things that you gotta think of. But whatever you do, if you're in a cold environment, you're definitely going to be wearing insulated gloves, and you have to be able to do all those things. Get into your backpack, open it up. All those things you gotta be able to do them with insulated gloves, and basically you gotta practice that. I'll see you guys next time.